Let me start with something I've noticed over and over again. Most leaders don't fail. They don't crash. They don't burn everything down. They just stall. And that's actually more dangerous because when you stall at a high level, everything still looks fine from the outside. Revenue might be solid. The team shows up. The business is functioning. But internally, something feels off. You're making more decisions, but fewer of them feel clean. You're busy, but you're not deeply effective. You're leading, but not always sure how much of it is actually working. That's the leadership gap nobody really talks about. And that's what I want to dig into today. So here's a trap a lot of capable leaders fall into. They confuse activity with leadership. And to be fair, early on, activity is leadership. You move fast, you solve problems, you carry the team. But at a certain point, staying busy becomes a way to avoid deeper work. I see this constantly. Leaders who stay in meetings all day, leaders who jump into Slack threads to help, or leaders who still make themselves the bottleneck. It looks responsible, it feels useful, but often it's actually a lack of trust, either in the team or in the system that's been built. Real leadership starts when you stop asking, how do I do more? And start asking, what actually requires me? There's a quiet moment every leader hits. It usually starts like this: I'm working harder than ever, so why does it feel heavier? And that's the moment leadership changes. Because up to that point, progress came from effort. After that point, progress comes from judgment. And judgment is harder than effort. Judgment means deciding what not to touch, letting people struggle instead of rescuing them, allowing short-term discomfort for long-term clarity. This is where a lot of leaders revert back to control, not because it works, but because it's familiar. And here's something leaders rarely say out loud. Being the leader is isolating, not emotionally in a dramatic way, but cognitively. You're the one holding uncertainty, risk, responsibility, long-term consequences, and most people around you don't actually want that weight. They just want answers. So what do leaders do? They start performing certainty. They speak confidently even when they're unsure. They make decisions faster than they should, and they stop thinking out loud. Over time, this creates a subtle distance between you and your team. Not because you don't care, but because you don't feel like you have to hold it together. Strong leadership isn't about always being certain. It's about being stable while things are unclear. One of the biggest shifts I see in strong leadership is this: they stop trying to motivate people. They focus on clarity instead. Most performance issues aren't about effort. They're about unclear priorities, conflicting expectations, or leaders changing direction without realizing it. When people know what matters, why it matters, and what good actually looks like, performance tends to take care of itself. Clarity is quiet, but it's powerful. Here's a simple but uncomfortable idea. You are the environment. Your mood, your urgency, your patience, all of it leaks into the organization. If you're anxious, the team feels it. If you're reactive, people get cautious. If you're unclear, alignment breaks. Leadership isn't just what you say. It's what people adjust themselves around. The best leaders I know don't dominate the room. They stabilize it. I want to leave you with a question that's simple but not easy. Instead of asking, what do I need to do next? Ask yourself, what does this situation need from me? Sometimes the answer is direction. Sometimes it's patience. Sometimes it's a hard conversation. And sometimes it's getting out of the way. Leadership isn't a role you play. It's a response to what's required. If you're listening to this and thinking, yeah, but it's a little too close, you're not behind. You're just at the part where leadership gets more subtle and more meaningful. This podcast is a space to explore that. No hype, no performance, just real conversations about what it actually takes to lead well. If you're interested in sharing your own perspective as a guest, you'll find more details in the show notes below. And thank you for listening. Until next time.